This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 9 in the National Football League. Cleveland Browns hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I talked about games just like this a week ago. I said, Cleveland, you got a last place schedule. You're going to play some bad football teams this year. Your job is to put them away when you get the opportunity to do so. And you didn't do it against Jacksonville. You lost that game on the road. You barely squeaked by Oakland last week. I said you got to find a way to put these bad teams away. The only way you're going to be in the discussion at the end of the season for postseason play is if you win the games that you're supposed to and you win a couple that you're not. And so losing to Jacksonville, really, at the end of the season, that's going to probably come back to haunt you right there, because those are the type of games you can't afford to lose. I mean, maybe you offset it by beating a team like New Orleans, who you probably had no business beating. You caught them early, you're able to get them, but you want to be able to take advantage of that win by winning all the games you're supposed to and adding a couple to it that you probably weren't supposed to get. And losing to Jacksonville kind of negates games like New Orleans, but either way, here's a bad Tampa Bay football team coming to your place. You gotta win this game. You don't win this game, I said this when you lost to Jacksonville, I can't take you seriously. So you need to win this game if you're the Cleveland Browns. If you're Tampa Bay, you're just trying to find wins. You're just trying to get a W any way possible. And so you go to Cleveland, you're hoping, hey, Jacksonville was able to get them. Oakland almost got them. Why can't we get them? Your only win of the season came on the road against a team in this division. Why not make it twice this season? So you start the game off. Opening drive is extremely solid for the Buccaneers, and it yields a 33-yard field goal attempt. That is blocked. That's what bad football teams do. They can't get out of their own way. You have a solid drive to start the game off. You put yourself in chip shot field goal range, and you have it blocked. That's a sign of a bad football team. And after a couple of good completions, the Browns get into field goal range and nail a 49-yarder. It's now 3-0 Cleveland. So not only do you have that blocked, but the Browns take the momentum of that block, get a couple of completions, get in the field goal range, and get some points. So if you're Tampa Bay, that was a double whammy. You take points off the board. It's a 6-point swing because you should have had a field goal, but instead of you getting a field goal, you end up giving up a field goal off the block. So can't have that happen. You're not a good enough team. As we all know, as the record indicates, you are not a good enough team to have things like that happening to you early in this football game. Once again, Bucs come up empty after a solid drive as Patrick Murray falls short from 55 yards out. So again, you have these instances where you feel like, man, we're doing some good things. We feel good about what we're doing, but you don't have anything to show for it. 2 opportunities to put field goals on the scoreboard, not able to do so. 55 is much different than 33. That's a long field goal. You're in Cleveland, probably a little windy in the game as well, so I can understand how that one could fall short. But the 33-yarder, no excuse. It's 3-0 still Cleveland on top as we head to the second quarter. Glennon underthrows Mike Evans badly. It's tipped by Joe Hayden and picked off by Dante Whitner, and that leads to a field goal after they get all the way down to the 1 on first down. Browns, I talked about this last week, and I talked about this against Jacksonville. I talked about this team all season long, the inability to get in the end zone and cash in opportunities. You're at the 1 yard line, second and goal, third and goal. You got 2 opportunities to get in the end zone. After a run that gets you down to the 1 on first down, you got to get in the end zone. There is no excuse in this league to have multiple opportunities from the 1 yard line not to get in. The good teams find a way in. The bad teams settle for field goals or go for it on 4th down and don't get it and lose football games. You've got to find a way into the end zone. In this league, field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. You keep settling for field goals. You did it against Jacksonville, and they ended up beating you 24-6. You settle for field goals in this game against bad teams. They get confidence, they end up beating you at the end. You have to find a way to put teams away. I've talked about this already. And so they got to settle for another field goal. Look, I'm all about taking points though. You know, field goal is better than nothing, but touchdowns trump everything. And you're at the 1 yard line, you got to get in the end zone. But it's 6-0. Tampa Bay's still feeling good about themselves. Hell, that's a win for Tampa Bay. For you to get all the way to the 1 yard line with 2 shots at the end zone and not be able to get in, Tampa Bay feels really good about where they are in this game, despite being down 6-0. After a Desmond Bryant hands to the face penalty negates a fumble that would have turned the football over from Tampa to Cleveland, Mike Evans is in the end zone for a 20-yard touchdown to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers their first lead of the game at 7-6. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you've pretty much had your way in this game. If you're the Browns, yet you're down now. And even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had opportunities to make some field goals, they were running the football. Let me say that, first and foremost. Bobby Rainey was having success. This Browns run defense, some way, somehow needs to be fixed. I don't know what you have to do because the parts on this team should be good enough to stop the run. I don't understand why this team is so bad at stopping the run, but the Buccaneers were giving you the business on the ground in this game early on, and they were able to use that to go play action fake, find Mike Evans one-on-one in the end zone for a touchdown. It's now 7-6, Tampa Bay up on top in this game. Jonathan Banks picks off Billy Ho on the ensuing possession inside their own 20, but 2 plays later, Glennon gives it right back on an interception in the end zone to Tashawn Gibson. That's what bad teams do. You force a turnover. I watched the Redskins do the exact same thing. They force a fumble of the Cowboys. They're in prime field position to get a touchdown, and 2 plays later, Colt McCoy throws an interception in the end zone. It's what bad teams do. And you look around the league and you look at the good teams, and what do they do with this turnover? They turn it into a touchdown. Or at worst, they get a field goal. You look at the bad teams in the league, and what they do is they either miss a field goal, they have it blocked, or they got to settle for a field goal, or they turn the football back over. And Tampa Bay say, hey, man, you know what? When you're a 1-6 football team, you find ways, you create ways to lose games. And here's another way that we find a way to create and devise a plan to lose a game. Here's another way we do it. And this turnover, this hurts. These are points right here. Whether you score a touchdown or a field goal, it's points. Nonetheless, you know, field goal, you look at the outcome of this game and the final score, and you look at a field goal at the end of this game, changes the whole complexion and complexity of this game, because now instead of you needing a touchdown and you only need a field goal to win. I mean, it changes everything. Got to get points when you got opportunities to win, and the bad teams seem to not understand that premise not that well. So you move on. Tampa Bay adds a field goal to make it 10-6. Browns answer with a field goal to end the first half, make it 10-9 as we head to the halftime break. You come out into the third quarter, and the Browns are attempting a chip shot field goal. Bucs have a neutral zone infraction. What did I just say? Bad teams find and create and invent ways. I mean, how hard is it to just line up where you're supposed to line up? It's a field goal. You've done your job defensively. You've gotten off the field. Now they got to settle for a field goal. Buccaneers weren't satisfied. They weren't happy with forcing a field goal. They said, nope. We don't want you kicking a field goal. We want you to score a touchdown. That's the only way we could have it. You got to score a touchdown here. And so, in the Browns, I told you their struggles continue to get in the end zone. They were going to have to settle for a field goal. Luckily enough for them, they were playing a bad football team, and they were able to not only get a mulligan, hey, get a do-over. No need to kick a field goal. take a fresh set of downs and see if you can get in the end zone. If you can't get in the end zone, then you will let you kick the field goal. And so that opportunity gives the Browns a chance to go for it on 4th down. They convert, and then Terrence West has a receiving touchdown to give them a 16-10 lead in this ball game. Again, you look at the outcome of this game. If this is a field goal instead of a touchdown, you take 4 points off the board if you're Tampa Bay. I mean, you just think about all the mistakes you've made to this point, and you look at the way the scoreboard has been impacted. You're talking about 4 extra points for the Cleveland Browns at this point. You're talking about you having a field goal blocked. You miss another one, and Mike Glennon throws a pick in the end zone when you were already in field goal range. I mean, talk about all the missed opportunities. I mean, that's what bad football teams do on a weekly basis. They make mistakes and they squander opportunities to score points. It's why they lose games. And so Cleveland now up by 6, 16-10 in this game. Short punt after being pinned in their deep in their own territory. Browns surrender the second touchdown to Mike Evans of 20 yards in this game, as he is having a career day. He ended up going over 100 yards. He was basically the crux of the Buccaneers offense, aside from the rushing attack. In the air, he was the guy getting it done and doing the most damage in this game. And their 2 touchdowns came both to Mike Evans, and he was really having an outstanding game against this Browns football team. Now it's 17-16, Buccaneers on top by 1. Looking to take the lead, Billy Holt turns it over, but the defense holds, and Craig Robinson is able to block a punt again. I don't know what else to say. What more do you want me to say about the ineptitude of this Buccaneers team and their inability to stop making mistakes? You can't win when you're having self-inflicted wounds. It's really simple. To be able to block and hold up protection and allow your punter to get the football off, to be able to make sure that your field goal kicker can get his kick off. These are some things that you work on in the first day of install in camp. These are things that you work on. It's the most elementary and basic of fundamentals, and yet the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can't seem to execute them properly. It costs them again, as that block, it frees up an opportunity for this Cleveland Browns team to have a shot to take the lead, and that they do. Terrence West, wake up Mr. West, Mr. West, with an excellent block, freeing up an opportunity for Billy Holt to look down the field and find a wide open Taylor Gabriel in the end zone for a touchdown of 34 yards. That gives the Browns the lead. They go for 2. They do not get it. They're up 22-17. Bucs need a touchdown to take the lead and win this football game. They have a pass interference on 4th down and 1, which forces 4th and 11, which they don't convert as they move the football down the field. And again, had you stopped with all the mistakes, maybe you only need a field goal to win this game. Maybe you got the football at the end of the game with the chance to run the clock out. Instead, you're down by 5. You need a touchdown. You make another mistake, and it's only fitting that you end the game with another mistake, a pass interference, to make it 4th and 11, which you don't convert. Game over, game, set, match. Cleveland Browns get it done 22-17. Not impressed with the Browns. I honestly could say that the Buccaneers gift wrapped this game for you with all the mistakes that they made. This was not an impressive showing by the Browns, but you got the win. No doubt about that. It all came down to the fact that the Buccaneers wanted to lose this game more than you did. Because I would love to say that you took this game, but the Buccaneers made so many mistakes in this game that you had no choice but to win. You had to win by default. The Buccaneers are just not a good football team, and you were able to take full advantage of it. 22-17, Cleveland gets the win, goes to 5-3 on the season, sets up a huge Thursday night football matchup with Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football in Cincinnati, so that'll be a matchup worth keeping an eye on. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers continue to shoot themselves in the foot. They're now 1-7 on the season, and when you're a bad football team, these are the type of games that you should win, but you don't, because you don't know how to win. That's going to do it for Browns and Bucs. So thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me, as I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 9 in the National Football League. See you in a bit.